Here comes Gisette. They make contact. They touch once, twice, 3 times.
Foul trouble. Oh, no, Rocky into the wall. Big crash front straightaway. Huge crash coming into the tri-oval. No, Rocky up and into the air. They're beating and banging. Brown the bottom. Cosman up top. Cosman, I think. No. Breyer by 1/1000th of a second. Joseph, no! At the line, Thunhorse pulls the win out at the stripe!
Oh, he saves it! What's going to happen here?
Here comes the canvas! Get your foot there! He's got it! He's got it! Canvas is going to win!
This series races at some big-name tracks, but it's hard to get much bigger than Indianapolis. only the second ever purpose-built racetrack in the world and continues to hold one of the most prestigious races in history for more than 100 years. Indy is a name synonymous with speed. Who will get to kiss the bricks today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. And you'll see it all live here on FDF.GG. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Michael Johnson and Bill Soup Zahn. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson. Well, Michael, here at Indianapolis, it always means that little bit more to take away a win.
Well, yeah, and this track, this is an interesting place. For as long as it's been around, the oval portion, of course, is still kind of the oval. It's a really interestingly shaped oval, but we're running it backwards on the oval portion anyway, and they change the infield course fairly often, and there are a lot of options here. And this is the version that got changed, I want to say 2018 or so. So we don't have that horseshoe anymore to kind of go around, and it's even harder to make up those just little tiny fractions on the current version of this track. So you have to have your ducks in a row to make a good time here and to make it last.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's going to take quite a bit to try and make sure that you get some quick ones around here. But looks like they're finishing up qualifying. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the points of this series. And up at the top of the prototypes right now, it is Nathan Olson who is leading things with Billy Smith trailing by a fair bit, 31 points to try and catch up to him. It's he and Dianfalo who won last round, who are trying to battle for that second place, as Carter Kundinger is going to be fourth, and Jeffrey Ooms in the fifth position, actually tied with Paul Darling. We'll see how they handle that as they carry on. And we also have the GT Pro standings, Bill, and right now it looks like Ross Booth is up at the top of those.
Yeah, the old-timer, and he's been very, very strong. In fact, he has 2 wins and 2 second places. But you know what, Joe? His 2 wins were in the first 2 races. His 2 second places were in races 3 and 4. He's clearly in a slump.
Absolutely. It's going to make a difference. And then, of course, there's a GT AM series for this one. Up there, Michael, we've got Nick Davis, but apparently we have not had a repeat winner yet in that series.
Yeah, it's a big battle through this AM group. And I actually recognize many of these names from other places. And I can tell you right now, from the names I see through this, any of these people can win a race. So just because they were second last week or first or ninth or whatever, don't count on them being in the same place, because they are still fighting, scrapping right alongside those pro guys, and in many cases running faster and ahead of them.
Now, let's go through our starting order for today. We've got a little bit less than what we've had in the first few races, but still a lot of cars out there, with Paul Gibson starting on the pole and Nikhil Kopkar in the second position. Then you've got Nathan Olson to their third spot, just behind Billy Smith on the outside. Nate Gruchelski will be starting from fifth, followed by Carter Kundinger in the sixth position. Peter Houston will begin from seventh. After that, Josh Wolf qualified eighth today. You've got Justin Kirby in the ninth spot, followed by Robert Tinsey in 10th position. Then on the next slide, Mo Islam starts from 11th. Eddie Layton will be 12th, and Dominic Dornenberg will be 13th. Leif Peterson rounds out your drivers at set times in the prototype class, but Chris Sherburne will be last on the field, having not set a time. Michael, what's the first 10 of the GT Pros look like?
Well, interestingly, we've got Bradley Haley in an Audi up there in the pole, doing a great job in that Audi. Haven't seen them this far up in quite a while. Ross Booth, our leader in the championship, is in second. Right behind him, Johan Shirazi, alongside Nathan Jew, Robert Cast, Young Park, and then we have Wayne Castile, Ryan man, I always mess his name up, Wasilewski, Tom Hammond, Frank Margarella, he is going to be our first amateur right here. So if you see them in green, that lets you know they are the AM class in the GTs, the GT3s. Robert Rattray right behind him on the row number 13 with Jesse Lyon right behind him. And then we've got Ryan Robertson, Brian Bennett, Scott Angelo, another AM, just like I was saying. They're all mixed in here with David Shutt filling out row 15. Bill?
Oh, you caught me by surprise. Where'd you leave off?
We're at row 16 with Nick Davis.
Okay. Jimbo Pfeiffer. Hey, then the only McLaren out there, Waschowski has given up on the McLaren. So now it's only Pfeiffer that's going to be running it. I'm pulling for you, Jimbo. You got Luke Schmidt after him, Patrick McDaniels, and then you got Ed Eisenring behind him. Old-timer Sheldon Rosenberg with us again. Eric Thomas is mixed in with that one. You got Matthew Gorsh, Jason Iverson, Cameron Bidwell, and you got then, watch out for Matt Shear. He's going to be very good. Trent Brown, Dale Green, rounding out these last guys down at the bottom. Ian Simon and Chad Dick. We got a few more to go. I'll take a few more. I'll get down to that last prototype. William Majeski, David Perry, James Stacy, Sean Reese. There's a veteran name that we've seen down there, well down, and then Corey Ainsley, and there's some few left after that. I want to talk real quick about a couple drivers I've been watching all week long. Watch out for Nathan Jew in the GTs. He's really quick in practice all week long. He's fourth in line here, but he's going to be fast.
Yeah, Nathan is one of those guys that he is very consistent. Watching him week to week here, he just gets a really nice pace down, and it may not be the fastest one, but like I tell people, you don't have to be the fastest car. You just have to be the one that crosses the finish line first on the last lap. And I think Nathan's one of those people who has that in him.
And Paul Gibson sitting pole for the prototypes, put in a ton of practice laps before the race. I think he's done like 70 laps. That's maybe why he's sitting at the top, Joe.
Yeah, that's a good point on that one. So he's been nailing away at trying to make sure that he has got this track down, and it's paid dividends, no doubt, as we're taking off on the pace lap. And it's also starting relatively late. It is only an hour late, our race, but remember, this is set in November, at the end of November, actually, in Sim, and it's currently 4 p.m. So the sun is already setting, and it's going to be pretty low in the sky. It won't go completely down, but we will have quite a shadow across the front stretch by the end of this race if it isn't already covered up. It's because of that quite cool out at 73 Fahrenheit on the track surface itself. Thankfully, not much wind to speak of. And that will be good for that front stretch, because really, Michael, that front stretch is going to be a long, flat-out blast, and I expect most of the passes to take place there.
Yeah, that's the easiest place to get it, especially if you get a good draft. Once you get the hammer down, coming out of that last little cut in, it puts you back out onto the oval, and your hammer is down all the way down. You can take it absolutely flat out all the way down to turn one. Now, turn one is tricky. For those of you who have seen the older version of turn one here, it still goes the same way, but the pit exit is kind of slid into there, and it was pushed out and made sharper. So it's harder to get through there, and you can't carry quite the speed. So whoever is the master of that brake pedal is going to be able to take that corner, but it goes back to the left. So if you can hold on and you're on the outside, you have a chance to get back around and try to dominate that little corner complex.
Over the many seasons of Autobahn, they visited 35 different tracks. This is the first time they've come to Indy.
I actually didn't know that. That is really cool that this is the first time, and it's a good place to, a good time to come and do it now that they have the updated track out here. The other thing about that first corner that I discovered, Michael, because I hadn't actually gone to a road race there until this year. I've always gone for the 500 or for the Brickyard. Is there's actually a bit of a transition. There's a slight banking as you come off the front stretch into the infield, and I never really realized that. And it's something that I feel like does affect the cars a little bit, but we'll see if it affects anybody today, because right now we're waiting for Gibson to get the green flag here on the front stretch as they line up. The prototypes ready to go here, trying to decide if we get another winner for this season in round 5. They got to wait quite a while before they get the green. Gibson holding them. He can go whenever he wants. Yeah, now he finally goes, not wanting to give up as much slipstream as possible as they fly down into turn 1. Often see some wild crashes into here as 2 cars nearly make contact there in the battle for 3rd. And they all hit the binders, and it's going to siphon down into a very narrow bit of track, but they are through. Let's go to Michael for the GT Pros. Looks like up at the front, it's going to be Bradley Haley leading them into the first corner. As you've got Ross Booth, then up next, following in second. Will they all get through with a much bigger field in the GT Pros and the GT AMs? It does look like they are good here. No wrecks. That is a huge sigh of relief, Bill. That first corner in real life and here in the sim is known for seeing some crashes.
Both classes get through clean. Nicely done, as we have a full field here today. They all made it through, 52 cars.
Fantastic. Still a battle going on for 4th place as Billy Smith and Nate Gruchelski have been dueling for that one. Gruchelski gets a hit from behind as Kundinger just does not anticipating the checkup under braking. They're gonna get away with it as they're just about done with this first lap. That is looking very clean. This is fantastic to see that everybody's gonna mind themselves and get settled in before we get to the real action.
Clean, but the top 3 prototypes are beginning to pull away as Smith having a hard time in 4th to stay with them.
Yeah, Nathan Olson there holding on to the back of Cop Car and Gibson at the front. Look at that. Still, Smith having to try and defend from Gruchelski into the first turn. I wonder if that's what's causing him to lose out here is, wow, we have problems coming through, I think, the last part of the infield with Jimbo Pfeiffer and Jesse Lyon. And there they are trying to get back to the track. I'm not sure what caused that, but that was in the thick of the GT classes.
Ah, the McLaren. Come on, take care of that baby.
So we'll try and check out what caused that. Whoa, holy cow. That's an Audi trying to get back going. That was Brian Bennett. It's kind of narrow along the front stretch, and something caused him to spin up there. So that was a very strange incident.
He lost it coming out of the final corner, and he just spun it and it sat right in the middle of the main straightaway. Everybody did a good job of getting around him until he started to back up. He lost patience and almost pulled into the traffic.
All right, so here we go. We're going to get a better look at what happened. Oh, just some contact between the Porsche and the McLaren. That's Jimbo Pfeiffer in the McLaren, the red and white car. And we'll see if he gets any sort of penalty post-race for that one, but definitely kind of went up the inside maybe when the move wasn't there. Here's Bennett that you were talking about, and yeah, you're right. The rear just came around.
Stay on it for a little bit. Maybe if you quickly get on board with Jesse Lyon if you can, because he had a quick moment. Car number 115, watch, he's coming. Now stay with it, stay with it, stay with it. Then he starts to back up. Everything, he thinks it's clear. And then, there's more coming. Whoa, that's Lyon that just snuck by.
Threaded the needle. Fantastic stuff there. Oh, and Ross Booth has just had an issue in almost the same spot. He made contact with Nathan Jew, and it looks like they're both back on the track, as unfortunately Ross does not have the speed. Eric Thomas to his inside there, and the BMW is going to move into 16th in the GT cars.
I was watching practice, and we'll talk to Michael when he gets back with us here. It was really slippery. I watched the GT cars, a lot of sliding around. They were talking about the also pit stops, that the tires may be an issue. I can't imagine, Joe, that they're going to change tires, but they say the new pavement really wears them out.
Not just the new pavement, but now, remember, there's new rules out here since the latest update of iRacing. This will be the first time that the series in quite some time has had the ability to change tires and take fuel at the same time. So, yeah, that gives them the ability. I think the bigger question is going to be, Bill, is it worth it? Because will the refueling give them enough time to take tires?
Yeah, well, that kind of brings it into play, though. Before, when it was fuel and tires separately, it was like there's no option. Maybe now, because you're only talking a handful of seconds, it might be something to think about.
That's Josh Wolf, who looks like he outbraked himself potentially down into turn 1. Didn't see him near anybody, so I think maybe that happened all on his own, and he's going to lose another position to Dominic Dornenberg as Wolf falls down to 11th from that incident. Oh, is he serving some sort of slowdown penalty? Yes, he is. Oh, that's why he's slow. he was still having to give some time back. So Eddie Layton is now through.
Yeah, going back, talking real quick on these GT3s and the new tire model. Actually, the tire model also applies to the prototypes here, the LMP2s. The tires wear significantly faster now. So trying to double or triple stent your tires is really not a thing anymore, especially with as much as these guys are sliding these cars around. I think they've got them trimmed out pretty well. And something else that happened in the latest update that I don't think it was publicized or intentional, but there's some pretty serious wing wash off of these GT cars. When you're trying to follow one, your front end pretty well goes away, and that quite often gets someone to put in a little bit too much wheel, and the next thing you know, that rear end is going around, and, well, you end up like that Audi before.
Well, Joe, it took us 5 races before we actually saw a Comet sighting, but Bradley Haley having a good race out there in front of the GT3s.
Yeah, and nearly by 2 seconds over Johan Shirazi currently. So it's looking pretty comfortable, but we've said that before about the Comet, and we'll see if he can hold on to it until the end of the race, because that's where the points get handed out as they come down to the first corner. This is Johan trying to keep Robert Cast behind him, and then behind that there is some battling between Young Park, Nathan Ju, and Wayne Castile, so that's for fourth down there. But I think I believe Ju is an AM driver, if I'm correct. Double check.
Rattray is going to be our first. Robert Rattray is going to be our first AM driver, and he's in 8th overall in the GTs. So he's doing quite a nice job right in front of Tom Hammond. But Nick Davis and Franco Margarella are right behind Tom, and they are 3rd and 4th. 2nd and 3rd in the GT AM category.
You talk about Rattray. He had a win for the AMs in the very opening round at Daytona.
So could he maybe be the first to take that repeat victory there?
Roval Master?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Rovals do kind of have a distinct flavor compared to others. We got some battling here in the prototypes as they start to slice through that GT field.
It was Jesse Lyon in the GT3 that they got behind. Lyon didn't do anything wrong, but it slowed down the leader, and now they are cutting their way through. Working their way. That's Pfeiffer that they worked their way around, but the battle for the prototype lead has heated up as soon as they got to traffic. That's always the case.
Certainly seems to be typically. So Gibson, who's going to have to defend, and there's a big wreck in front of them. Thankfully, they're able to avoid it. Going to try and send it up the inside into turn 13 as more cars go off into the grass, maybe getting distracted by the sudden emergence of these prototypes, and onto the front stretch. This is going to be a very good slipstream from Olsen.
That was Stacy that got a little bit of a tank from Ensing there that turned them around right in front of the prototypes.
Oh, and look at them weaving behind them. My goodness, is the lead looking like it might change hands down in front. A move to the inside. Olsen manages to go by, and he is through. They're 3, almost 4 wide back in that group that we were watching as our poor director doesn't know which way to turn. Somebody more off track. Jesse Lyon is going to have to gather up the car down in the 115. Somehow that did not involve a major wreck.
Wow, this has been some crazy goings on now. This is an hour-long race. We're not even 10 minutes into this, and we've got some incredibly aggressive moves being made from both, well, I should say all 3. So at least the GT and the Le Mans prototype groups here. Everybody's just trying to get their knickers in a twist.
And they're still having to make some sketchy moves at times, as this is Cop Car being chased by Kundinger. This is for 5th in those prototypes. That's also Billy Smith just in front of them, so I guess you can say this is a battle for 4th more so. Switching back through 13 and then out of 14, yet more of these GT cars in front. In fact, that's going to hold up Nate Gruchelski. He's not going to have the momentum. He's going to be extremely vulnerable, and he's got a whole bunch of those prototypes now breathing down his neck.
Making the run on the outside, I think that is Billy Smith. See if he can get it done. In the corner 1, he'll have the preferred position. Nope. Gruselski able to hang on. Now right behind them is Cop Car, and then looking at the whole thing, way back there is Kundinger. Kundinger been incredibly, you'll see him coming to your screen right there in that yellow and red machine. I guess it's black and yellow. Very consistent. Best finish this season, 5th. Worst finish, 7th.
Yeah, incredibly consistent, but I think he needs higher results to fight for it as we go side by side between Cop Car and Smith. Cop Car's got the inside, but Smith has the momentum. But look, there's battling GT cars just in front of them as well. They're going to try and split them. Can't quite find the pace here through the S's. Are stuck behind effectively. Who's going to get the pick and who won't? They finally get some track position, almost banging doors as they come back onto the oval. Just a bit of a nose ahead for Cop Car, but still on the outside as they fly down into turn 12. Somehow Smith successfully defends.
Smith's tried to pin Cop Car behind a slower GT, and now Cop Car gets into the back of Smith.
Neither of them spins this time, but it is getting very hot very early as there was a spin behind them. Kundinger got tipped around, or actually, no, he tipped another car around. A GT car unfortunately spun. They're probably feeling like the ignored stepchild right now, unfortunately, down there, because there's so much going on in prototypes. We can't even get to the battles happening in GTs. So we continue to follow this fight between Billy Smith and Nikhil Kopkar. Again, this is just for fourth place. It has been unbelievable here in these early stages, barely 12 minutes in. Smith has got a little bit of breathing space, at least for the time being. Kopkar going to follow him through. Takes a little bit of a look, but he's cut off at the apex.
I think Cop Car's faster. He just hasn't had the opportunity yet. As we watch this battle for prototypes, we should talk big picture that Ohms is not here today. And he's already had 2 bad races. I don't think he's a championship threat like we thought he was going to be early on.
He will have a drop week. Let's not forget that could come into play throughout the season as we once again take a look at our GT field. Up towards the middle of the pack here in the pro class. That's Young Park, who's trying to give chase on Wayne Castile in the 4th position. Not going to be close enough to make an attack this time, but they're about to be hit by those prototype leaders for the first time. Will this give them chances to get closer together?
And that's Wasilewski right behind them in the BMW. You got these 2 Porsches trying to streak away, but that BMW is not letting them go. Wasilewski has been holding on to this gap for several laps now, but as these prototypes come through, we're going to see the prototypes trying to use these guys as a pick. Now, they are very close together. They are all about 3/10, 4/10, maybe 5/10 apart, and then the prototypes just can't dig in and out of them. They've got to pass the whole group of them, and it could make for some very interesting racing here.
Still side by side once again coming into the S's as that battle for 4th just won't go away. But still, Kopkar can't seem to find the opening in the pick that he's been looking for with all these opportunities. I'm kind of surprised one hasn't appeared quite yet. Slicing by some of the slower GT cars. Luke Schmidt's going to get out of the way, taking a lot of curb there. Nikhil Kopkar has got to be careful, and he switches across, just getting underneath the Porsche of Luke Schmidt.
Yeah, Luke having a hard time with the prototype traffic. Managing traffic is a major part of multi-class racing. You really have to know what you're doing there. This starts to get pretty crazy when you have cars that are this close together in the corners. So when you watch these prototypes get into the corners, they are mildly faster, but not a whole lot faster. And great, on the straightaway, sure, they can streak away, but it also depends a little bit on the gearing of the cars. And these GT3 cars, they're made for a course just like this. They love these kind of courses, so it makes it a little more difficult than you might think it would be for these prototypes to get around as we get a little bit of too wide going around this little GT3 field.
Yeah, once again, Kopkar going to go for it, this time around the outside, where he saw it worked for his rival, but he's going to get tipped aside, and he'll fall into the grass. Can he keep it out of the wall? He just clobbers the tires barely. Oh, but he spins it again, and that time he's going to hit Armco. So unfortunately, there might be a little bit of damage. Nope, he's going to tow. Not happy with how his race is going. Definitely didn't get enough damage to, I would think, damage the car that much. So I got to wonder if that was a bit of a rage quit.
That was a tough one. I think he thought he had him cleared, but he really didn't.
Yeah, just didn't quite have it finished. It was maybe just barely shy as we go back to Wasilewski trying to chase on Park. coming down into the first corner. No, none of them are going to have a chance here. But behind them, Kundinger and Billy Smith are the ones fighting. So Kundinger caught them with that fighting that they had with Cop Car and has now moved himself into fourth.
Yeah, moving himself up there well, but watch from Wasilewski here. Wasilewski has been managing the traffic from the slow side and doing a beautiful job. He's gotten a couple of really nice nose out into some draft off the cars, the prototypes that have been passing him, and he completely destroys these guys under braking as we watch him go up underneath and makes the pass, gets around Young Park.
And so does Billy Smith get past Kundinger. So working out for both of them. Oh, 3 wide for a brief moment. He's going to give space to Carter as they come down to the braking into turn 12. Once again, so you can sometimes see passes here, but Billy Smith says you won't this time.
So Smith lost the spot. He got it back. Kundinger, though, up into 5th, up a spot.
Meanwhile, behind that is Peter Houston, who had to take to the grass because of a spinning car. It was Leif Peterson. Lost control. Is going to be able to get it back onto the racetrack now, coming out of turn 12, but he falls the last in his class, unfortunately.
Yeah, Leif Peterson is one of those really good drivers that I've talked about before, where he does a nice job with being consistent. He may not be able to turn the fastest lap time, although honestly, sometimes he does. He does get a real burner out there every once in a while. But, you know, he just ticks them off. Whenever I've raced with or against him, I've always been impressed with how well he's able to turn a lap just like a metronome.
Meanwhile, back in the GT AMS, Nick Davis currently leads down there in the number 17. It's 8th overall, so he's doing pretty well. He's actually distanced himself from Robert Rattray and put the pro of David Shutt between them. So that number 17 is certainly looking pretty comfortable for the time being, but as we've seen, the picture can change extremely quickly in this series.
Yeah, a lot of bouncing back and forth, up and down, as it were, for these guys. And a lot of that, again, is traffic. How well do you manage the traffic? Wasilewski was able to make up some time, make up some places, but then we get down to Nick Davis, who came flying through. Rattray was up front for a while, and look how quickly that changed. And I bet you dollars to donuts that was all due to traffic.
He's got a good chance to try and overtake Shutt for the overall GTs. But will he try and take it? Remember, his battle is not necessarily with David, but he's going to have to go by him if he wants to try and catch up to the leader in his class. And no, he's not going to make a move here quite yet. The other thing we haven't talked about, Michael, is this is a relatively short lap, especially for a field this size. And I feel like maybe that's contributing a bit to the chaos that we're witnessing.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of high speed time at this particular iteration of the track. If some people are familiar with the older version, you came into the infield, you went back around to the left, along around to the right, and then where now they're doing that little chicane that's the back and forth. I think it's 5 and 6 or 4 and 5, where they cut through there. There was that right turn that you went around that long horseshoe, and it really slowed the cars down a lot. In this iteration of the track, or this particular version of it, man, you don't have any time to go slow. I think you might hit second gear in turn 1, and that's about the slowest you're going to go. So all this time on full throttle, high gear, just going, lends itself to, even though it's I forget exactly how long the track is, but these lap times come by pretty quick in these 2.6 miles.
When we went to the Red Bull Ring, traffic was a main topic before the race. None of that on this one. I think it may have caught him by surprise.
Yeah, exactly. And right now we're watching second place. Now, I'm a bit confused. Did we miss Shirazi making the move on Haley because he was leading early on?
We did. I happened to notice that their names had switched, and I thought there was like a 3-second gap. So quite honestly, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it, because I know when I hold a 3-second lap, a 3-second gap, I tend to hold on to it, although it does come down to, what was that, 4/10 the other night at the end of that race, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. Things can get a little bit tight for sure. Checking to see where he lost this lead, because Yeah, this was some time ago, it appears. He had run him down and got him many laps ago, unfortunately. But that will probably trade back and forth as Robert Cast back there in third is already sizing up Bradley Haley, and they're seeing a few of those prototypes starting to mix in amongst them as well, and that will slow up that leader of Johan Shirazi there at some point. But we are getting close to where the pit window will be opening, maybe about 5 more minutes.
What can be taken by that pass, though, by Shirazi on Haley? It wasn't a mistake by Haley. I think Shirazi, maybe Haley might have got slowed up in traffic, but when Shirazi got him, he passed him.
And there's a problem for Wayne Castile. I think a connection problem. Oh, and he's in the wall. And yeah, I think, you know what? The car is just slowly going forward. I wonder if he had a hardware malfunction.
That's what that looks like.
Yeah.
He may have a combination of an internet connection issue. Maybe he's driving so fast that his CPU overheated.
He'd like to believe that, I'm sure. But whatever the case, the result is that he looks like he's out of this race because he's dragging along the wall on the oval portion for now. So he's effectively done. He might be able to come back in and try and get some repairs and see if he can collect some spots, because we have had a few DNFs. We've lost Corey Insing, Joey Atterbury, Nikhil Kopkar, and Castile is the latest to look like he might be out of the race. Some more could exit a little bit prematurely here. Right now, watching the fight down into 7, 8, 9, and 10. As you can see how difficult it is trying to manage the traffic through this portion. This is Rosenbaum and Lyon being overtaken by second place Paul Gibson after he continues to try and catch up to Nathan Olson here at the front of the prototypes. But the gap is already up to 5 seconds. Looks like the traffic giveth, traffic taketh mantra strikes once again.
Indeed it does. Traffic, like I always tell people, and I mentioned it just a few minutes ago, you have to manage the traffic. You have to know how to manage it from both sides, being in the faster car and the slower car. So when do you make that attack? If you're trying to come up on somebody and make an attack, can you make it easier by letting a faster car come through or catching up to a slower car? So managing that is really a major part of multi-class racing.
Kind of a bit of a battle brewing in the GT class. I see Franco Margella, who is currently second. He's recently overtaken Robert Rattray for that in the AMs, is not only leading Robert, but they've got Ross Booth from the pros in there. Booth probably wanting to be doing a little bit more here to get farther up, because this 11th in the GTs, and I'm not sure, I think that's going to be something like 8th in the pros, is kind of atypical for him.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got, I want to take a look at Cast right now. Cast has been closing down on Bradley Haley. Bradley, I don't know if maybe there was some damage on some traffic as they were working their way through or something. But right now it looks like Robert Cast is kind of closing down on Bradley Haley. Bradley was our pole sitter. And now with Cast coming up in there, we could have a little bit of a battle going on there as Johan Shirazi continues to pull out in front, opening that gap up to, about 1.5 seconds at this point.
There is Haley giving chase in his Audi. Cast back by about 0.9 of a second, so it looks like he's been able to separate himself, at least for the time being. That was Leif Peterson that they just allowed by. Leif's gotten up to 12th in that prototype class. Now back down into 12, 13, and 14. Got to really get the launch off of this corner. Let's see if Haley can manage to keep Cast from getting in that slipstream too much. And the other thing is, well, who's got the better top end speed? Because we have so many different makes. And with this being the first build, first race since the builds, that means with the BOP, they don't always have the picture that they used to, Michael, about how all the different cars interplay with each other.
I know the Porsche is definitely slower than it was in pre-build. So the new build has definitely slowed down the Porsche. And I feel like the Lamborghini was actually, well, maybe not changed. I was able to go do some testing in the Lamborghini and the Porsche, doing some stuff at Sebring, and it was a blast. Loved it. But I was able to go much faster, much quicker, and much more easily in the Lamborghini than the Porsche that I had just raced there and was very comfortable with.
Saw a car off to the side. That was just Scott Angelo. He's the last car running right now, and he must have had something happen because it looks like he's a bit of ways away. I think about 2 laps down from the leader, so he's just trying to rifle those laps off. But as we watch the guys up front here come down into the braking for turn 12, Haley keeping it steady at about 1.3 seconds. That's what he needs to do for now, is just keep himself in touch. As behind him, Justin Kirby is pitting in.
Yeah, dash into the pit lane here, get it slowed down in time right at those cones there, the yellow cones. You have to be to the pit speed limit at that point. So now he's just trundling down. When you're doing this, it feels like walking speed. You've been doing 150, 60, 70, 80 miles an hour down the straightaways at different points, and all of a sudden to be slowed down to the pit speed, you're almost certain you could just open the door, step out, and push the car faster.
This is Dornenberg on screen right now. He sits 7th in the prototypes. He's being hassled by Robert Tinsey currently, but Dornenberg is the hardest charger in the prototypes currently. He's up 6 positions, so he's handled himself pretty darn well considering he started 13th out of 14 cars.
Indeed. Tinsey actually gave up that spot to Dornenberg. He's coming. 1 spot up, if we could, talk about the 860. This is Mo Islam. He's having a great run, up 5 spots as well in 6th position. Now he's behind his teammate Kundinger, who's having that battle with Billy Smith. We saw that battle with Smith. Smith got it back. Kundinger had it, and now as I'm speaking, Smith just got it back.
Yeah, that looks like traffic to me. The way that we saw them there on screen briefly is behind them. Islam continues to try and see if he can catch up. Kundinger and Smith have been cleared of the cars of Iverson and Trent Brown, but now it's the time for Mo Islam to try and do something with him. Unfortunately, he's caught them in one of the twistier bits here, coming through 7 to 10, but it's going to open up just briefly. I think he's going to be able to get by Trent Brown before they break for turn 12.
He's had a nice run. Quickly jump up to Smith and Kundinger before we leave the prototypes. These guys have swapped positions. I'm not going to kid you. They've swapped positions 5 times. Smith, Kundinger, now Smith again.
This has been a wild battle for sure. And remember, Smith was battling with Cop Car before. He just can't seem to get away from the action today. And he's going to try and break the slipstream a little bit as he goes defensive down to the first corner. Big hole in the air being cut for Kundinger as they both get on the brakes. A surge forward for Billy Smith. He is master on the binders for that one.
Yeah, and right in front of that, we just had Nathan Jew pass Eric Thomas. That was one of those get in the slipstream and let it boogie. He took it all the way down, got him under braking going into turn 1, right in front of that prototype battle we were just watching.
And having to go way around the outside on the exit of that chicane, Billy Smith is able to keep his speed up. I thought he was going to get checked up, and Kundinger might have a shot at him. They've got another car in front of him that just does not stop here. Nathan Jew in that 420 GT car. Oh, I was going to say, he looked like he was going for the apex there, and he's going to deny them the chance. So it doesn't seem like Carter's going to get it at this point, or will he? He's starting to pull up behind. He thought about it, Bill.
He'll have him by corner 1. The car seems...
Margarella just went around turn 1.
Right.
Turn 6.
Yeah, right in front of him.
He's going to get it back.
That's tough because he was doing so well. He was up to, I think it was 2nd. He was right in front of Robert Rattray for a while in the amateur class, in the amateur GTs. He was doing so well, and then just a little bit of misfortune.
Bill, you called it. There it is, trying to outbrake him, but he has to brake a little early for the traffic in front of him, and back goes through Billy Smith. He's teasing him almost each time.
These guys have really been putting on a show. Now they're coming up behind Robertson in the GT3, and ahead of them is Rattray. So this will be interesting, the amateur leader.
Oh, and once again having to try and predict where those GT cars are going. It's not going well for Kundinger, but he's going to try and send it up the inside down into turn 7. Backs out just a little bit earlier than Billy Smith. Ross Booth trying to stay off to the side as his teammate looks for position. Oh, and he's going to hold up Kundinger to a great degree. What was just a couple tenths is now already 1.1 seconds.
Hey, when you're the leader in the class, you don't have to get out of the way of your teammate.
Is he the leader in the class, though? He's
point leader, is he not?
Points leader.
Yeah.
That's okay. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant leading the class. I was like, he's way far down compared to what we're used to here. Oh, David Shutt going to come in. Okay, this is one of the first of the GT cars that we're seeing now taking fuel and possibly tires. You can see in the background there's a couple more. Patrick McDaniel looks like he's hit the cones and is now in his pit stall, and a couple more of our prototypes. That's Tinsey and Wolf.
Yeah, meanwhile, through a little bit through that pit rotation, though, Ian Simon is up 16 positions. He is doing well in the AM class. He's about fifth place in AM class right now. He is coming up, trying to make some ground on Franco Margarella, who we saw spin around earlier in that Lambo. Oh, sorry, the BMW.
Yeah, there you see him on screen now, coming out onto the back stretch. So Margarello currently sitting third in class. Starting to hear a bit of words over the radio from Billy Smith, and that's with Carter Kundinger. Actually, they're side by side once again, and Kundinger is going to be able to get through. I wonder if that was traffic. Yeah, it was traffic that Billy Smith was upset with, that tried to stay out of the way, and it checked him up so much that it cost him the position.
It's like I always say, though, if you hold your line, these prototypes come up so fast, you often don't even know they're going to be there. Just hold your line. They'll get around you. If you're in a GT car, you feel like you're the fastest thing out there. Till one of those prototypes comes along, man, they just come flying up on you, and then they're gone as quick as they came.
It was the veteran Sean Reese that Smith was yelling at it. It actually scared Reese off into the grass.
And he got back through into turn 1 once again. I wonder if there's more downforce on Billy Smith's car, the way he keeps being caught like right here, but then under braking, look at that, each and every time. He is able to go so much deeper than his rivals, and that is really causing some frustration for them, no doubt, because Kundinger has either already overtaken him or at least gotten side by side with him multiple times.
I'm old, so maybe my memory's going, but wasn't Smith had a little contact with Cop Car, and that's why Cop Car had to retire? I think
so, yeah.
And so maybe that's why Smith's car isn't as fast in a straight line as it was.
That's a great job there, Bill. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. That could be a big indicator here. And as we come on to the front stretch, Smith had a little off into the grass once again. Can Kundinger finally get enough past him that he can finish the job? He's approaching quickly. He's wheel to wheel. He's got a nose ahead, half a car. And as they brake, right past goes Billy Smith.
Maybe the damage has hurt the straight line speed, but I think it's helped the braking.
Yeah, maybe it's flicked up the
got an air brake
on the front. Yeah, and oh, that was a big slip up there from Kundinger, just getting the grass a little bit coming out of turn 4, but he gathers it up in time and only loses a couple tenths.
He opens that up a lot. I mean, that's a big amount to open up right there. Such a tight little section, but notice how close they are now. There was about 4 car lengths between them when they were right in the middle of that straightaway, because he was able to just put the hammer down and go so fast through that little chicane. But now it's closed right back up, and wow. Well, let's watch again as they come down into another braking zone, see how well this goes.
Pit stops cannot come early enough for these two guys. They need to separate themselves.
They should be pretty soon, I would imagine, because we are just about 5 minutes past the halfway point. So I'm expecting to see more and more of them hit the end of the fuel window. Johan Shirazi is going to be the latest. So the lead has been handed back over to Bradley Haley, but could be temporarily unless Haley can really put some good laps in here.
Time for Haley to really take the Formula One note of hammer time, because you need to make up time now to make it more difficult on your opponent and make that pit stop. You've got to nail your entries so that you're right at speed as soon as you hit the cone, and you're not wasting any time with that speed up, slow down. Because if you overslow going in there, man, that'll really cause you a lot of time. But not as bad as overshooting it and going too fast, because then you get a huge time penalty.
Well, before this gets too crazy with pit stops, we need to step away for a very brief break here. So stick around for more action of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge on FTF.gg. Welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway here on FTF.gg. We've got an exciting Autobahn Sports Car Challenge race for round 5 underway. A lot of prototypes have pitted, and during that sequence, Kundinger managed to jump Billy Smith by a degree to which he has now broken the slipstream, but it does look like the traffic is allowing Billy to try and catch him back up. We'll see if it stays that way. Nathan Olson looks like he is in for pit stops. So we're waiting on Leif Peterson, the last of our prototypes, to come in for service. Now, we know that Johan Shirazi has already stopped from the lead of the GTs. But Bill, we've been watching Bradley Haley for your favorite, the early peel, late reveal, and see where Haley will come out in regards to him.
Indeed. Well, right now, he's under Cast is having a great battle with him right now on track. So it's going to be interesting to see if that getting out. I don't think it's going to work in these GTs because I think your car is heavier. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. Oh,
that's the traditional philosophy here. But somebody off in a Lambo out of the chicane. I wonder if they caught the curbs. Trying to make out who that is.
Yeah, Trent Brown there. It's easy to make a little bit too aggressive an attack on that. Oh, as we go side by side. There you go. Get pushed outside. Oh, that's 2 into 1 doesn't go well. Oh, that's a big hit.
And that's down into, is that into the first corner? Where is it? No, that's down into turn 7. Was that Trent Brown again that got hit? No, that's, I think, who's behind him now. Trying to make out who that is.
It's hard. I'm trying to pick it up as well. They're going so quick. It's hard to see the numbers on these cars, and with teams seeing those seeing those guys together. Sure, there you go.
So let's see what happened here. Oh, into the side of Brown, spins. And then unfortunately, well, it's not exactly a blind corner, but I guess some people just did not get the memo. And when they came up, they went nose to nose.
I think a lot of times with sim racing, the yellow flags don't seem as important, but it is. It can really mess up somebody's race. Although in that case, looks like it just turned the car right back around. He doesn't seem too much worse for wear.
Yeah, seems like he got away with it somewhat, but the car is trundling down pit lane. That could just be him saying now's as good a time as any to come in and get that fixed up. So behind him, some more drivers in. Oh, and I think I just heard our AM leader, maybe with some sort of problem, or former AM leader, Nick Davis, complaining over the radio. Oh, no, he went side by side through the chicane with Eddie Layton and the prototypes. Thankfully got away with it as more cars into pit lane. Still waiting for Haley. He's still out there coming through turn 7 with Luke Schmidt, with Robert Cast all over his back bumper. Let's see if both of them come in at the same time here.
46 seconds gap back to Shirazi. Seems like a lot.
Seems like a lot, but you got to remember, it's a long pit lane down here.
Yeah.
And it's about a minute, a little over a minute for these GT cars to take fuel, tire,
Oh, okay.
and trundle along at the pit speed. Here they go, both of them dropping in. That's going to be Haley and Cast making their way into pit lane. And right there onto the binders, very quick. Look at him close up. That's a little more than the concertina effect right there. That looked like a little bit better entry from the Porsche driver, Robert Cast.
Shirazi just done with the back straight.
Here's your marker, 16.4 seconds for Shirazi. So keep that number in mind. We'll see what Haley and Cast are able to do once they reach their pit stalls. If they're quicker than 16.5 seconds, then they're not going to see hopefully too much difference other than what they may have lost in traffic. Both of them hit their marks. Not seeing them go up on the jacks, though, Cast is taking tires, but Haley is not.
Interesting choice there. It's not a penalty to do that for time because you're able to do it. Oh, but look.
Shirazi's on the front straight.
Yeah, Shirazi's coming down the front straight. He just crossed the start finish. They are going to be close. If we can take a look here, you'll see him just on the right side of your screen there. Shirazi is going to take back the lead as these guys continue to trundle down and wait for that pit exit.
Must have been worse laps in terms of traffic for Bradley Haley, because yes, he had lost a bit of time, but he was 2 seconds faster in his pit stall, Bill.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I didn't think it was going to work. But I wasn't watching what traffic was like for Shirazi when he got out. Maybe he had a plan. Well, he's got half an hour now to bring it home.
It's a much different picture at the top of the prototypes as we continue to watch the battle between Smith and Kundinger. They got magnets on their cars today, just unable to get away from one another. Real quick, though, Bill, Olsen is 13 seconds ahead of Gibson already.
Yeah, breaking news just in. The sun rose this morning, and Smith has passed Kundinger.
It's like it happens on a schedule, right?
Well, then he's back at him again.
Speaking of the sun, as the McLaren is off again, unfortunately.
That's a lot of tow out on the front of that car. I don't think you're supposed to have that much, at least not on one side.
Pfeiffer involved in something serious. Did he overshoot the first? Yeah, he did. He overshot the first corner, went across the track and hit somebody, apparently. Just couldn't get the car back together. Actually, that was Paul Gibson. That was second in the prototypes. It was a big hit. So,
yeah, fortunately, the prototypes are like tanks, though. I mean, yeah, you can get damage on them, but they will take a lot. They're just like a Timex. Take a licking and keep on ticking.
We got the replay. Yeah, you can see this is where he misses it, and he tries to see if he can smoothly rejoin. But when there's a car there, it's not going to be smooth.
Yeah, he was pretty much a passenger. Once you hit that grass, boy, there's not much you can do in the sim. It's not going to help you at all.
Take a licking. My God, Gibson got T-boned.
Yeah, he was. He was a Tootsie Pop right there. He got quite a few licks, unfortunately. We'll see what the car can do. He's got 6 seconds to Gruchelski, and he's got 15 minutes left. So hopefully, if he's got decent pace, that'll be enough to keep him ahead. But I was about to say, speaking of the sun setting has been happening. You can see how low it's getting. And they won't go into the night. You can see they don't quite have enough time. But I can say that in the real world, they have now had a night race at Indy. And the reason
That's
I know
wrong.
Bill, you should have seen it.
It's sinful. That's sacrilege.
My humble brag is I got to be the first person to call, one of two people to call that first night race. Me and DJ Clark had the honor of getting to do that. It looked glorious under the lights.
I love night races. I have so much fun. They always say rain is the great equalizer. Racing at night is a pretty close second to being that great equalizer. If you can race at night, because your vision is, you just don't get quite as much, especially peripherally. So being able to race at night, wow, that really kind of makes another one of those separations into who's a good driver and who's a great driver.
There's no crying in baseball, and there's no night racing at the Brickyard.
I'd like to see more. I can't wait till they get some more of it, honestly. It looks very, very cool. But Dornenberg is trying to get this spot from Josh Wolf. This is for 8th position here. Dominic may have been sent a little bit backwards from a mistake earlier on, but he's going to make up for that if he can get this one done. They go into the braking. A 3 wide is unfortunately going to dissuade that green and black 913 from making the move.
It's nice for us to find another battle to watch other than Kundinger and Smith.
Well, we can take a look at Eisenring and Simon. We've got Ian Simon and Ed Eisenring. They race together in a different league, so they know each other quite well, although they do race. Well, one of them races a different car in the other league. So watching these two, they're going to be trying to size each other up, but they know so much about each other. And this has been one of those things that's closed up quite a bit. We are looking at the 7th and 8th, or 6th and 7th position here in the AM class, with Eisenring behind in the Porsche, with Simon out front in the BMW.
Yep, these two carrying on. One of them racing the car in that other series, they're Eisenring, but switching over to a different German make. Simon is slow out of turn 13. This could be a good chance for Ed if he wants to try and use the slingshot here. He gets decent speed across the yard of bricks, and he's going to look to the inside. Coming up behind them is Mo Islam, and that's not going to dissuade him from making the move, as they do indeed go 3 wide, but he tries not to go into the back of the prototype. Somehow he gets the pass done and keeps from making contact.
Wow, nice pass. Ed Eisenring doing a beautiful job on Ian Simon there. Ian probably caught a little off guard. He had so much prototype traffic around him, there wasn't much he could do. But remember, we still got 12 minutes left in this race. It's not a bad position to be in if you're sitting in the draft of that Porsche.
And boy, a move that had been boiling for some time, Bill. Cast finally got Haley for P2 on screen, though. Still got a battle between Dornenberg and Wolf. Dornenberg manages to get side by side. And then behind them, they've also got Peter Houston.
He's lapped down.
Okay. No, he's not. Peter Houston
that's a battle for position. You're right.
It is, yeah. This is a 3-way fight. It's going to carry on, coming through 11 and into 12. Wolf doesn't quite have the nose ahead, but he's going to try and break as deep as possible. He gets fed out, though.
Sheesh. Great run going from these 3 guys. Yeah, you talked about the Cast move. Now, we'll see if he's got 3 seconds to get up to Shirazi. That'll be rough.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he's got the pace. Both of them look like they just aren't quick enough, and Johann's been kind of keeping them at bay. A little bit of a look from Wolf there, just showing himself in the mirrors, but they're too far apart for a return salvo into turn 1 this time. Again, this is for 8th position right now in the prototypes that you're seeing on screen, led by Dornenberg, who has the most positions gained after that pass, up 5 from his starting spot.
It's been a hard charger all season. We don't need to go there. I just want to give a quick call out to Robert Tinsey. It's nice to see him racing. He's about up 4 spots. But I don't understand what's going on with Ross Booth. He's our points leader in the GT3s. he's not to be seen. He's sitting down there in 6th spot. I guess he doesn't like the Midwest.
Apparently not. Yeah, this will be his first race not on the podium at the finish there. And yeah, well, I mean, we went to the Midwest with Road America. Wisconsin counts as part of
Okay,
the
that's
Midwest.
right. That's right.
Yeah. And he did fair there.
Yeah.
That was his second place for him. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
Just 2 wins, 2 seconds, and then this race.
Just doesn't seem to jive with him for some reason. But we do have 10 minutes left, and we have seen wilder things happen. So maybe we'll have a big wreck at the end with a bunch of the leaders as siphoning down once again into that first turn. We've got the battle between Islam Tinsley and, well, just those two. It looks like that's for 6th position in the prototypes, being held up by Thomas and Shutt just in front of him. This is a bad place to catch these cars down through the chicane unless he times it right. Looks like he might be okay.
Islam had got that spot earlier. Tinsley trying to get it back. And you can see on the towers, we watch this battle, Gruselski, after getting slammed in the side, racing just fine. He's comfortable in 3rd. Quiet run from him other than that incident.
Well, and I tell you what, Islam's on his own pilgrimage upwards because, I mean, he's made up 5 positions as well now that he's managed to get by Robert. So we'll see whether or not he can get one more with Carter Kundinger about 6 seconds up the road. That'll be a tall ask, but we could have a tie for hardest charger in the prototypes here.
Could very well be, but talking about hardest charger, Ian Simon is still the hard charger in the GTs. He is doing pretty well, but right now I'm trying to watch Bradley Haley. Bradley is closing up this gap. He is doing a beautiful job closing up. Look at him right here. This a lap ago was a second. It is now right at about half a second, 0.6 of a second. Closing up this gap. He is on a charge. He is trying to take this position back from Robert Cast and then maybe try to work a little bit on Johan Shirazi, but Johan is still about 3.5 seconds out in front of him.
He's been doing a good job with it, though. I got to wonder what could have happened, though, if Cast had managed to overtake Haley a little bit earlier on. Did he have the pace to catch Johan, or is the 66 car just kind of managing things here at the end of it and making sure that he brings it home safely? They're going to come across that start-finish line with, all of about maybe 7 laps to go.
Yeah, it could be a little fuel situation, too. Looking through the timings, I see, like, Ross Booth and Nathan Jew. Like, Nathan Jew, his stop time was 14.6 seconds. Bradley Haley, 14.0. I think we're watching some guys who may have short-fueled, so they're going to have to save some fuel before the end of this race.
That's a fair point. Maybe they just cut it a bit close there. Meanwhile, Tinsley versus Islam is on again. Oh, and we got a car off course. That's Gibson. Remember, second place has already probably got some damage. Gruchelski's now within a second of him.
Yeah, that'll be a tall order for Gibson to keep that car out there.
Trying to see what caused that little off track that we saw. Oh, he just outbraked himself. It was all on his own.
Yeah, on the back straight, going into the left-hander. He made his way around Iverson. And
Islam is off. Islam is off. Did he have help with this one? No. Another error. Drivers losing their concentration here. That was in turn 4. Just clipped the grass. Car went around. He falls to 10th because of that. Well, that means that Dornenberg's now up 6, actually. Back to our hard charger as we got a car off course.
Yeah, another one of the Audis working his way, getting the John Deere Award today. I think that was the longest run across the grass for anyone.
James Stacy, it appears, currently 28th in the GT cars. He's going to take a tow. Guess he doesn't feel like he wants to try and cause problems. Oh, yep. And Tinsley just ran into a GT car.
Yeah, Tinsley had just got that spot he picked up. He was chasing Islam, and Islam went off. Now Tinsley gets him, gets in trouble.
And he hit pretty hard. He might have damaged the car even more on the nose. Yeah, he's very slow in a straight line. Dornenberg is suddenly all over him. So Tinsley might fall down to 7th. Robert is, Dominic is going to be on the aggressive at this point, especially if he sees how much faster he is in a straight line.
Yeah, Dornberg picking up spots from attrition left and right. He gets around his teammate Islam, and now he's going to get Tinsey, I expect. Hey, Joe, a quick shout out to this team that, as you see the pass being made. What the? Did I speak too soon?
Maybe he's going to get side by side. I don't think Bobby's going to give this one up. They're going to go back into the left-hander of turn 9, and it switches into 10, back in favor of Bob the Blade. He's going to stay ahead.
That's some nice racing.
So Dornenberg isn't done yet, but front stretch a lot longer than the back stretch. I think this is going to be a taller order. And look behind them. That's Houston. He might be 2 positions down here.
Boy, you can see how good Tinsey was through the twisty section. Man, he really opened it up. I thought for sure that Dornberg was going to get him, but Tinsey was so fast through that. Quick shout out to Composite Performance of what the name, those yellow and black cars you see all over the place. Joe, you know I hate it when teams differentiate their teams by numbers or colors. How about these guys? 3 different teams: Maverick, Iceman, and well, what's the other one from Top Gun? You know what it is.
Goose.
Goose, there you go.
I would not want to be the Goose team if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's
If
not.
you've ever seen that movie.
Make it halfway through the film.
Yeah, oh boy. That seems a bit unfortunate. Here we go. Not quite as quick through the first half of the lap there for Robert Tinsey, as Dornenberg is once again on top of him, but he decides not to go for it. But he might have to play defense, because now Houston is looking like he wants to get that spot.
Yeah, that group is getting really tight. There's some interesting chess being played right now with this traffic situation, trying to hold on to your position, or trying to make up a position here, but then playing with the traffic. How is it all going to play? You've got to be able to read what they're likely to do and what you can do. So good luck trying to figure it out with this crew.
Well, you talk about playing chess. I mean, Robert Tinsey is basically a pawn trying to beat a queen here, with Dornenberg having so much better straight line speed. I'm kind of amazed that he's gone as well as he is. And there we go. Dornenberg down to the inside once again. This time as he got him. We've seen Tinsey have to fight this before, but he can't do it. Oh,
Yeah,
little tap to the back there.
Oh, yeah, tiny tap, but yeah, that's one of those places where you can be on the outside and still hold on to it, because the track does go back to the left. You end up being on the inside at that next corner, but didn't work out for him that time. Just wasn't able to hold on to that grip just quite enough to make that work.
Let's see, trying to see where Olsen is here, our leader overall. He's, I think he's got 2 laps to go, it appears.
And all
There
our
he is.
drama with Gibson and Gruselski and issues and Billy Smith maybe catching them. Nah, they look pretty steady in there 1 through 4.
There is a battle for 4th in the GT Pros, though. Wash and Park look like they have not got this one finished. Oh, we got another Lambo off course. Is that Trent Brown? That was Trent Brown. Oh, no. Meanwhile, down into the first corner, some battling there between Brian Bennett and Jason Iverson. That was between 2 of the classes, but 417th within the GT cars overall. And another prototype off. Is that Eddie Layton? Yeah, that was Ed. Not sure what happened, but he was awful slow coming through the S's. Olsen. Yeah, 2 more laps here. Olsen has already come into the first corner. He's dealing with the traffic pretty admirably at about 21 seconds ahead of Gibson.
Yeah, taking a look here through the field, I'm looking at our leader for the AM class, Nick Davis. He's got a huge gap all around him. And then same thing with Johan Shirazi. He's got quite a gap, 2 seconds to Robert Cass behind him. And Bradley Haley had a little bit of traffic issue early on, just about 2 laps ago. And that caused him to fall back. He was really tight, but and now we've got Cass. Cass is right up on Shirazi, only about a 1/4 second.
Oh, when did that happen? He
That
must
was
have.
traffic just now, I think.
Wow. We're going to get the white flag next time by. I believe there are 2 laps to go. Yeah, they should be 2 laps to go, so this means he's got some time. Not a lot of time, but better than it being the white flag. Forces a defense from Johan. The 66 is going to have to play a rear guard for pretty much the first time all race.
And Shiraji had an off. He missed the braking zone in the final corner going on to the main straight.
So that's there it is, into 12. That is a very tricky corner, Michael. It's got that almost curved braking zone as you're trying to get the car, and you got the wall right there.
And it's really blind. It's very difficult to see that corner. You've just come out, and you're like, okay, I'm on the oval. Oh, wait. Oh, I've got it.
Whoa.
That's going to put some drama in there. Woohoo!
That was our leaders, and Shirazi somehow escapes disaster, but that actually slowed up Cast. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe we got away with that as we're on the white flag lap for our leader, who, Ross Booth has just been overtaken by Nathan Jew behind them. It's all kicking off. It almost always seems to do so at the end of an Autobahn Sports Car Challenge race. But Olsen, who's trying to put a lap on Josh Wolf here on the very last few corners of Indianapolis, is going to take the victory in the prototypes. Nathan Olsen with a dominant win today.
Yeah, dominant win. He is way out in front there, 20 seconds to Gibson behind him. But taking a look back at the GT class, this is where it's been getting exciting. We just watched them thread that needle back there. It's 1.3 seconds between Cast and Shirazi. Shirazi still holding on to the lead while it was really close. Now another 2 seconds back to Bradley Haley. That looks like it could be wrapped up for those guys, but hard to say.
On screen, we've got a win for Nick Davis in the GT AMS. Victory for the 17. Has it been decided for the pros, though, Michael? Shirazi versus Cast, but he's got a distance of about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, that 1.5 seconds, 1.3, 1.4 seconds. He's just been bouncing around there. That's a tall order to try to make up in less than half a lap.
Johan coming around through 11 and into 12. Yeah, he needs, I think Robert needs some traffic or something, or a major mistake from the 66, which we have seen up to here. But right now, as he gets ready to lap Brian Bennett, I don't think there's any forthcoming. Johan Shirazi has entered the fray, and he is going to take the win in the GT Pros.
Nice ride from Shirazi there. Really well done. Robert Cast going to bring it across the line in P2. Bradley Haley for the final step on that podium.
Did we get another different AM winner? I need to check. Has Nick Davis managed to take this one yet? No, this is okay. This is what we were waiting for, Bill. Nick Davis was leading the points with 3 second places, but still hadn't won yet. He's finally done it.
Yeah, that M division is really fun, so they keep mixing it up down there.
Well, you get a little bit of a burnout here from the likes of Nathan Olsen as he finally gets a win here up at the top, and he is going to be able to kiss the bricks at Indianapolis. I'm sure he is going to be thrilled about that one, as that's going to take us to our finishing results for the day. And up at the top of it is going to be Nathan Olsen, 21 seconds ahead of Paul Gibson. Nate Gruchelski is going to be in third, followed by Carter Kundinger in fourth. As Peter Houston is going to be fifth, and Robert Tinsey gains 4 spots despite having a rough end to this race and finishing sixth. Josh Wolf will be seventh. Billy Smith has to settle for eighth, and last on the lead lap, Dominic Dornenberg at one point was the hardest charger, and he's only going to wind up ninth. He does gain 4 positions himself, as Mo Islam was in 10th. After that, Lee Peterson 11th will be followed by the last to finish in the prototypes, Eddie Layton, Justin Kirby, Nikhil Kopkar, and Chris Sherburne did not finishes today, Bill.
Well, throw it to Michael for the GT3.
Well, Michael's going to have to take off.
That's me. Oh, okay. Well, he wanted that hot dog, man. Okay, all right. Shirazi we watched it. He took that early pit stop. He wasn't leading when he took the pit stop, but by the time it all came out in the wash, he gets the win. Cass was able to get around the Comet. Robert Cass gets second. Bradley Haley third. Ryan Wasilewski no longer in the McLaren, still able to get a fourth. Young Park behind him. I thought Nathan Jew was going to have a better finish than he did. He'll have to settle for that spot down there with Ross Booth, our points leader. Yeah, they have drop races, but something going on. He had trouble here at Indy. Nicholas Davis behind that. Robert Rattray, the amateur, he has a win. One of the amateurs with a win, so he finishes second behind Davis, who gets the amateur win. Luke Schmidt behind him, and David Shutt and Eric Thomas. And I'll give it to the rest of you to do.
Yeah, Patrick McDaniel wound up 25th, but fourth in the AM class. Fifth was Franco Margarella, 26 in those cars down to the GT class. Then it was sixth position for Ed Eisenring. Seventh goes to Dale Green, and eighth to Jason Iverson. P9 for Ian Simon. Then you get a couple more of our pros, Jesse Lyon, Brian Bennett, and Sheldon Rosenbaum. Back to the AMs for Chad Dick and Matt Scherf. Matt Gosh is then followed by Andrew Lunsford. This is cars that started to get into trouble down here. David Perry, followed by Sean Reese and Tom Hammond. 41st overall, Trent Brown had an early retirement, and from there it was DNFs today, sadly. See who we have to talk to us here, and it does look like our GT Pro winner, Johan Shirazi, is going to have the victory here today. And it's his first of the season after coming pretty close twice with a second and a third. Johan, you finally ticked the box on that final step of the podium.
Yeah, feels good, especially after what happened at Sebring. I was hell-bent on getting some redemption from that. And yeah, glad I'm able to pull it off here at the end, even though we had some questionable driving from LMP2 and GT3 drivers, but we did it.
Yeah, it got a little verbal out there on the radio, I could hear, but it sounded like, or at least it looked like to me, you had things pretty under control, because once you got that lead, you pulled about those 3 seconds and didn't seem like Cast or Haley could catch you.
Yeah, fortunately, we had a strategy coming in. Nathan and Patrick, also my teammates, we discussed and worked out a strategy, and fortunately, I was able to build up a lead, and then with the strategy, build up more of a lead. So yeah, until that second to last lap, battling for 20th GT3, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I want to give a shout out to all the boys back at the Axiom Motorsports factory for that win.
Well, it was a fantastic one to watch, and congratulations, but you're a bit down in the points. So do you feel like you can make up the gap to get up to guys like Booth and Jew from here?
Yeah, for sure. I just realized how many more races we got. It's going to be a very steep mountain, and I didn't make it easy for myself. Ross is a great competitor. So is Wayne and Nathan as well. So it's going to be tough, but I definitely have the belief that I can do it, and that's what we're going to gun for, first place at the end of the season.
Well, congratulations, Johan. Hopefully we'll get to talk to you more times throughout the season.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Johan Shirazi, our winner today in the GT Pros. Bill's caught up with our winner in the GT AMs, Nick Davis.
Nick, the champagne when you win a class, not quite as bubbly when you're leading, but you don't have a win. You finally got one.
Yeah, definitely feels good to get a win after Sebring. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was leading at Sebring and overshot my pit stall, which is what cost me the win. So after 2 or 3 second place finishes, it feels great to finally seal the deal.
You passed 9 GT3s in your Porsche. You must like Indy.
Yeah, I haven't driven the track too much besides like one official week in IMSA here. So it was kind of fun to really deep dive into it and see what it had to offer since it got rescanned last year. So it was a good time for sure.
Short track at the Red Bull Ring, and we thought we were going to have a lot of traffic problems. We didn't. We come up to another short track here, a relatively not a long track all the way around this one. Traffic seemed like it was a nightmare out there. Did you have any problems?
Yeah, here and there. I think the LMP field was trying their best just to work around us, but some of the GT cars were making efforts to kind of get out of their way. And for me, I usually just kind of stay on my line, and they got to work around me. So a little confusion there, but overall, the boys at Sector 5 really pulled one together in Grizzly Motorsports.
Grizzly Motorsports. I know Grizzly Motorsports. Congratulations. I've been watching them for a long time. Hey, you got yourself a lot of podiums. Now you got yourself a win. Long season to go. Good luck down the way.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Nicholas Davis, our overall winner in the M class.
We've got our second place finisher in the prototypes. It's Paul Gibson. Paul, you look like things were pretty locked down for much of the race, and then suddenly at the end, things got like it looked like that second place was a little scary. We could see the first incident there on screen.
That's my first time seeing it. I had no idea there was a car there. I was just driving along, and then there was a car right there on the left side. I was like, whoa. I didn't know where he came from.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you for being a bit surprised, because I wouldn't be expecting it either. So talk about the fact that this is the first time that Autobahn has raced at Indy. Are you a little frustrated that you couldn't take the win, or is a podium still good? Because this is a track that has meaning to a lot of drivers.
No, a podium is still good. Really good. We're pretty new to the P2. We know a lot of these guys have been running this car for a long time, so we're playing catch up. And we found a little something today, and I think it showed in qualifying. But we just need to do a little bit more work, I think, to get that translated into the race setup. We found it pretty late, so we didn't get really a chance to test anything, but. It worked. Car was way better than I've had any other time in the league. So really happy about that. We're just gonna try getting high finishes here and try to work our way back up in points. I think Nathan's probably a little bit out of touch at this point. So just shoot for the podium for the points championship.
Well, next time out, we're going to a track that's going to require pretty little downforce. How are you when you take out the wing on these cars? Because Monza is going to really require you to be slippery in a straight line.
Yeah, so we just ran a race at Spa, and I think the downforce levels are probably going to be pretty close to Spa. We thought the car felt fine, actually, when we ran a Spa. So I think we'd probably be okay for Monza. We just need to... just kind of work on the race setup just a little bit, keep it just a little bit more locked down for a long run. But other than that, I think we're still learning, figuring stuff out as we go.
Well done managing the end of that race, keeping Nate behind you, and congratulations on second, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks to PG-13 and OMG Paints, Control F Media, American Wheelman, all those guys that helped us out.
It's Paul Gibson, P2 in the prototypes here today. And that's going to close us out. So a big thank you, of course, to the team today, Michael, Soup, and Zach. Our next race is going to be Monza, as I mentioned, January 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.